This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Jason Rez. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks for asking. What part of the world are you in right now?
In New York.
All right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Yeah, I'm a freelancer. I'm a coach. I'm a web developer that has carved his own path. And what you stand for and what you talk about all the time definitely resonated with me. So I wanted to connect.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, when someone says just in front of what they do, I'm usually fearful because it means it's a ton of things that they do, right? But within their own mind, there's a ton of things they'd like to do. So they say just. I mean, open it up a bit for us. What are you doing right now?
Sure. My bread and butter, what pays the bills, is web development and helping established online businesses increase conversions, make more money, make raving fans out of their customers, and get new customers. That's what I do for about 75 to 80% of my time. And then the other time is mentoring and helping other web developers and designers build recurring revenue, which is really just getting predictable income from their services by specializing their business.
So where's the passion and what keeps you going? Because it's a ton of work. As soon as you said web development, it's a ton of work. And then the mentoring side as well is a lot of work, right? From the emotional side. So what keeps you going?
Yeah, I get fired up helping other freelancers, really. My wife even says, I know what kind of day it was, what kind of work you were doing today based around your demeanor as you walk out of the office, because I work at home. So I love helping other freelancers, web developers, designers to be able to get past the bumps in the road that I've already been through.
So there seems to be a community piece in what you're doing, right? Who did you learn that ability from to be able to function as, let's call you a community leader, right? Where you're making sure that the people that surround your industry grow and learn. Who did you learn that from?
I don't know that I learned it from anyone in particular, other than I'm doing what I do with other developers and designers in helping them with things that I wish was around 10 years ago when I first started. And yes, there's a lot of things in and around the online marketing space, around courses and platforms and communities and everything else like that. And I've found that I just need to be me. And it needs to be what I would want, even if it's not a scalable kind of thing. I'm not looking to grow the community in a way where there's hundreds of thousands of people inside this thing where it's unmanageable. I know each individual person that's inside the community at a level that I can actually help their business.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Why will you continue to be this person, despite the work, despite the challenges that go with it?
I strive to help as many freelancers to realize their dreams like I did. When we had our son 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, driving back from the hospital, I turned to my wife and I said, so what's next? Like, what do I do next? And she said, she crazy in my own head. She was probably thinking, what are you talking about? I just had a child. What do you mean, what's next? And at that point in time, I realized my dream, because I wanted to carve my place in this world to be able to have the time freedom to see first steps, to hear first words, and build the business around the life that I wanted to live. And I realized it then because it was in the car with me. And that was at the point at which I wanted to have other people do it. Because if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Love it, love it. Which brings us to your podcast. Like, I was fascinated by the acronym. If you put an acronym to live in the feast and left out and put the at the end, right? But there are letters enough in there to make the word lift, which is really cool. Tell us about the podcast, please.
Yeah, Live in the Feast. It's a play on the feast famine that all self-employed freelancers tend to go through, but it's Live in the Feast. It's a podcast that's a seasonal podcast where each season has a theme to it, so marketing or sales or niching down, whatever that theme is, and then each episode is a deep dive into a strategy, a conversation with somebody who's done it before, who has unique perspective on it, and on the back of it is some sort of action that you can take to hopefully implement in your business if you listen to it on your lunch hour.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. All right. Tell us one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Consistently over the last 3 years. That's to just try and keep within my own boundaries. Anytime I've ever tried to learn or do something else that I've seen work for other people, it's never really worked. So for me, as long as I essentially play my own fiddle, it seems to always work out.
How does it make you feel to have done the work you've done, which is the challenges, right, that have given you now that realization? How does it make you feel? There's always that up and down roller coaster because we're like, hey, it worked over here. Why didn't it work for me? But I know it takes a while. I'm a New Yorker. I'm kind of stubborn. And so as long as I realize what I'm doing at the time, like, hey, look, you're kind of going out of bounds a little bit, it pulls me back and it makes me feel good because I know anytime I stay within my lane, so to speak, it always comes out for the good on the other end, whether it is something that I expect to happen or unexpected. Suggest to someone that's listening, specifically in the freelance world, I can see the challenges that can occur in the freelance world when there are like 10 or 12 things you're looking at, right? Suggest to them why they should do what you've done by, as you said, play your own fiddle.
Yeah, just pay attention to what you do in your business well and how you serve your clients and what unique value that you bring to your clients that they can't get from somewhere else. And once you unpack that, and it's as easy as asking your clients, saying, hey, can I have a 10-minute conversation with you or 12-minute conversation with you where I just want to ask you a couple of questions, and you just say, hey, what have you enjoyed working, together on? Why did you choose me? Why are we still working together? And what can I be more awesome at? And these are questions that I've asked my clients over the years, and I've gotten some valuable insights into knowing what they like about me. And also on the back end of it is what can I be more awesome at? I've built services around those kind of things because those were needs that my clients had. So if I can cater to them, there are other people out there that I can cater to as well.
Love it. Amazing audience. You're hearing it live again from Jason Res. Now, the website is res.com, but your last name is spelled Resnick. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
You go with the Res, yeah?
Yeah, Res with 3 Z's.
Yeah, Res with 3 Z's. It's not that he's sleeping, right? But res.com is where you can reach out to him, or you can definitely check out the podcast, Live in the Feast. Jason, let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Jason, what's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory would probably be the time at which I was around 3, and I was getting my sister's pacifier from downstairs, ran back upstairs where my mom and my sister were, and my sister is 3 years younger than I am. And my mom looked at me and said, "What happened?" And I managed to clip the top of my head on the fireplace corner, and I had no idea that it was happening. And I was bleeding out from the top of my head.
Why do you think this memory is so clear?
I think it's just a kind of like one of those like injury kind of things. Like it's just like a milestone in the brain. And maybe it was my mom's reaction too.
How do you see the memory connecting if you look at the fact that you remain focused to the goal?
Yeah, I think that's what it is really, is that I didn't even notice that it happened to me at that point in time. And for me, I've always, throughout school, throughout my career, I've just always been hyper focused on what I want. I knew what I wanted this life, that realization that I always had that in that car was something that I strove for from the time I was like 14 years old. Wow. And so I knew I'm hyper focused in that. And I guess I just didn't feel myself clip my head. I just still grabbed the pacifier, went upstairs, and like nothing happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know what? I'd like to add something as well. I think it's really intriguing that acknowledging boundaries as part of your process for maintaining not just focus but balance is something that speaks out to me, because within business, like we could do things and we're bleeding, but we're still going. And having an acknowledgement that is something you do not want to be doing continuously, to lift others and help them understand that they should not be doing that. I'm glad that you're within that space, functioning within that space.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean that's the truth.
If we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Yeah, my favorite song, and still to this day, is Stairway to Heaven.
Love it. Yeah, just like you climbed those stairs, right? All right, Jason. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Yep.
Jason, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, I have.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
I have one and one on the way.
Sweet! Congratulations. How far
Thank
along?
you very much.
How far?
Due pretty much any day.
Wow! That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. Today, my wife and I went for an ultrasound test as well. She's also due, but in August. So,
very nice. Congratulations.
Yeah,
yes.
Thank you. All right. Where did I reach? I lost my thought. There we go. All right. So, do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Absolutely.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Probably.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Yeah, it's definitely more than 8.
And what about reading? How often do you read?
Every day.
Jason, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Jason Rez, what would you say that is?
Yeah, it's what I say on every podcast. Until next time, it's your time to live in the feast.
Love it. Jason, this has been such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, just carve your own path. Listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about. And just do you. Stay in your lane. Do what works for you. Ignore the noise, and you'll be fine.
Love it. Amazing audience. There's one guy I interviewed. He ran a business called, or still runs it, Kindlepreneur. His name evades me right now, but Jason Rez is a very similar type of voice. So look out for this guy.
All right.
Jason Rez, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.